Well, hello everyone. My name is Alison Woodall and I am a relocation specialist. That means I get to help you with the financial, logistical, and emotional issues that make moving so stressful. And today I'm talking to Dustin Baxter, and he is a custom home builder in Austin, Texas. Dustin, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so there are a lot of people in these Facebook groups who are looking to move to Texas. First of all, where did you move from in California, and how do you like Texas now you've moved?
So we moved out from Northern California, Santa Rosa, Sonoma County to be specific. Uh, Great area, beautiful, still wine country, so it's very sought after place to be. We were just seeking some change for our children and their future. And Austin, the marketplace out here is booming, so we thought there'd be some good business opportunity as well. We moved out in October, and so far we're really liking it.
Well, good. And people always want to know about the weather. So obviously, if you moved in October, you've not done a Texas summer yet. But how did the crazy winter storm affect you?
We did visit a few times last year through the heat of the summer just to kind of experience it. And it is definitely hotter, not so much by temperature, but the humidity adds a little bit of heat to things. So that's something different from what we're used to. The freeze, we were affected by the freeze. We got snow out here right after Christmas, which was kind of something that does not happen very often. And then we also got hit by that freeze. We ended up being without water for almost 2 weeks. Didn't lose our power, fortunately, but everybody, banded together. I came from an area where we had the fires, so you kind of figure out how to work with your community and your neighbors and get through these things, help each other out.
Wow. And Texas, I lived in Texas for 6 months, and it's very much that kind of pioneer cowboy spirit where you just get on with it and everybody has a chainsaw and everybody has all the things to be as self-sufficient as possible. So I feel like if any state was going to get hit with extreme weather, Texas is probably one of the better prepared. So I know you have kids. How do your kids like it in Texas? Do they prefer it to California?
Yeah, the kids are loving it. My youngest is 8, and the adjustment was real easy for him. My oldest is 13, so he's getting into the tough years anyways. But I'd say the first month was a tough transition for him, just emotionally. But once he's kind of settled in, he's got friends in the neighborhood, he's made friends at school, and he kind of has a life and opportunity here that he didn't have back in California. He's in person learning every day, and then he's also able playing outside with his friends until dark. It's time to come in and go to bed, which is something that he wasn't used to at home.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, good. Well, so now I'd like to ask you a little bit about, custom home building, because I know there's probably a lot of people who dream about building their own custom home. I know you work with people who have quite a significant budget, but if someone is on a smaller budget and they were looking to have some kind of customization with their home, would you suggest that they go with is it a production builder? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so production builders are something you see a lot of in the Texas, outlying areas. Not so much around the city of Austin. There's a lot of high-end custom stuff, but you start getting into the high-density areas. There's a lot of production stuff there. But the production homes are good price point homes. The builders are cranking out, 50, 60 homes at a time. Usually you're limited on what kind of finishes and changes that you can make throughout that process, but they're good homes at a good price point.
Right. Well, we live in we're renting right now, and in our neighborhood, we literally can drive around and go, oh, that's our house. That's our house. And even if the floor plan's the same, people have chosen different cabinets or they've chosen slightly different finishes. Yeah. Are there, if you could work with a production builder who could offer you some kind of upgrades, are there any upgrades that you would suggest making that could maybe impact your resale value?
I would say, floor coverings, maybe some different selections on interior paints, tiles, countertops, things like that. Things that if you may be looking to upgrade in the future, kind of look at what does it look like to come in and do that after you've already moved in. What's the disturbance level going to be for you and your family, and assess whether or not it's better to spend that money up front and versus do it later. And of course, also everything's going to be budget driven, right? You don't want to stretch yourself too thin either to where you make it uncomfortable to live into your new home.
Yeah. Well, and I know when we talked earlier, you said that just in general costs are going up. Is that just for lumber, or is that for all building costs?
Well, I think across the board, you're seeing steel's gone up, lumber's gone way up. Labor continues to drive up based off of supply and demand. We obviously saw a lot of that in California. The Austin area is booming right now too. So demand is high. The labor force is stretched, and the same for materials. And then we're still seeing the ripple effect from COVID as well. So we're getting a lot of delays with materials and appliance procurement, things like that.
Okay, so if you're looking to build, whether it's with a production builder or a custom builder, expect it to be more expensive, really work on your budget, and then obviously expect it maybe to take a little bit longer. Would that be good advice?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, we all have to exercise a certain level of understanding and patience. We're all in the same situation. It is a real scenario that we're in. When it first started out, sometimes we wonder if lumber, steel, these different price increases are just people taking advantage of a way to bump the prices. And frequently when we see prices go up, we don't see them come back down, which is, a bit scary. But it is a real scenario that we're in. So we all have to work together. I think the biggest thing is make sure that you communicate good with your builder, that everybody has a clear understanding of what the finish line looks like. Because what I see frequently is you have a client and a builder who have a different idea of what the end goal looks like or what that budget looks like. And then you have two people that are on different pages when you get to the finish line. And that's not a good situation for anybody.
Okay, so if I wanted to work with you, if I was going to custom build my dream home, can you talk me through kind of like the timeline? Because I know that you can work with someone either full package where you take them from beginning to end, or they can work with you can kind of customize the services that you offer them. But if I worked with you from the very beginning of the process, where I think I want to build a house, I don't know exactly what it looks like or where I want to build it in the Austin area, can you talk me through that process from beginning to end?
Absolutely. So typically, if let's say that you were going to come to us and say, this is, you either have a piece of land secured or you're looking for a piece of land and you want to talk about the style and development of your house. And we need to go out and find a piece of land that kind of tailors to what you're looking for, what your needs are. Then we need to bring the architect on board. Typically, I like to introduce the client to a few different architects and then find somebody that's a good fit for that client, because I think that personalities, the way people communicate through that process is really important. So we'd start with that. Work through the preliminary design stuff. And once we kind of settle in on an overall design package, then we start working on detailed drawings, putting all of that together and working through that process. And then we'll put the project out to bid. So we'll go out to bid to our subcontractors and vendors, secure all the bids, review that with the client, get the contract locked in, the scope of work locked in, and then break ground and drive through the schedule and chase that, the budget.
Okay. And so I remember you saying that, choosing the site is very important, because presumably if you choose a nice flat site, it's cheaper to build than if you have a hill or something more complicated. Does it help if you can guide someone towards that site rather than they just say, this is my site?
Absolutely. And I think that depends greatly on the style of home that you're looking to build as well. So we want to find a site that lends itself well to the style of home that you're looking to build. Pictures are always helpful. Pinterest has become huge. Houzz has become huge with people. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's very helpful, but sometimes it can also get you wandering off in too many different directions. So you have to kind of hone in. But they're great tools to use. But I think that, yes, a flat site is going to be more economical, but it may not give you what you're looking for in the design of your house.
Okay, and I know floodplains is a big issue with the house that we're renting. We ended up talking to a guy who'd worked on this building project, and apparently this whole area was under about 10 feet of water 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an issue.
Yeah, so choose your site very carefully. And obviously, if you choose to work with a custom builder, obviously that's something that you could guide someone through. So the feeling I'm getting from you is the clearer your vision, the easier it is for you to work with a client. So if you know exactly what you want, you can steer that person in the right direction as long as they know what their budget is. Whereas if they have no idea, is that harder to work with someone?
Yeah, I think your budget is kind of the critical starting point. I've been doing this for a long time, and there's very few clients where, budget is not a concern. People usually always have a target budget. So you need to tailor the design of the house to that, the timeline, the site, how the project's put together and run. All those things need to kind of be tailored to that budget. So I think the budget is probably the most critical piece in the beginning. And then that communication and the way that the evolution of that design comes together. Sometimes people don't have to necessarily have an exact idea of what they want, but sometimes it evolves rather quickly once you sit down and you start putting things on paper and working with the design team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more to get someone who has a vision, because I know that if I wanted to build a house, I've remodeled a house, but I've never built one from scratch. And if I was attempting to pull, plans like the standard plans that you can buy or something like that, I think it would make the process so much harder. And it's sometimes much easier just to pay a little bit more upfront, have an expert say, yes, this will work, or no, that won't work. And then kind of take it from there. So you said that you have like you can charge someone a fee up front, and then to help with all of these services, and then if they choose, if they go through the whole way with you, that money is taken off at the end. Is that how most custom builders work?
In some cases, yes. So the way we typically like to do it is we'll put together a pre-construction package fee. And so if we're working with somebody to help them through that initial design stuff, sometimes we get 30% through that, and somebody decides that maybe this just isn't for them. So it's to compensate us for our time up to that, and it gives us a little bit added security that our time's not just being used up, and then there will be some compensation to cover that. So a lot of times what we'll do is, and again, depending on the amount of work that takes place in that pre-construction period, but we'll offer a pre-construction service fee. And then if they decide to move ahead with us on the construction of their home, we'll credit that pre-construction fee back to them, and that cost gets absorbed back into the project.
Okay, see, I like that. I like that upfront fee, that you know what you're getting into, so that you've got an expert on board who's going to guide you and help you, because you do save a lot of money and a lot of time when you're working with an expert, in my opinion. So obviously you're based in the Austin area. If someone wanted to work with a custom home builder in maybe a different state, how would you find someone who has good, is it referrals? Is there a website you could go to? How do you suggest someone finds a builder?
I would say, depending on the type of home that somebody's looking for, if it's a production home, you're typically going to find in certain areas where there's a group of different production builders. And you'll have your top 5 or 10 production builders in that area that are doing the majority of the homes. And then what I think it would come down to is checking reviews, meeting with their design team, and seeing what kind of feel you get from these people, keeping in mind that production builders are very sales driven. So just be cautious going forward. Make sure you try to ask all the right questions. And if you're looking for a custom builder, I would say the same thing. You want to check references. You want to look at past projects or current projects going on. Maybe even visit a couple of those and see how those projects are run. Are they clean, tidy? Maybe talk to the current homeowner, right, and see how the contractor is doing as far as budget's concerned. Are they unhappy with anything? But I think just doing your homework and talking face to face with people, or even Zooming with somebody, is a good way to flush out any problems and, kind of trust your gut. You want to work with somebody that you gel with, your personalities work well together, and that you can communicate well.
Yeah, because this is a long process.
Absolutely.
So when we were doing construction, remodeling a house, we unfortunately, we were at a point where we had to go with the cheapest option, and that was not a good idea, because it was just a very, very difficult relationship with the guy that we were working with. So to me, it's better, you've got to find someone that you feel comfortable with, because there's a lot of discussions goes back and forth, and something always comes up. And if you have a great relationship with the person you're working with, it makes it much easier.
Agreed.
All right. So do you have any other advice for someone who is looking to custom build a home?
I would say, going through the process, again, like I said, kind of trust your gut and talk to people, get to know people. And I think the relationship that you form with a builder, even an architect, anyone that you're going to work with, is probably the most important, because it is a long process, and it's a very closely involved, intimate relationship. You're working through these processes for 10 months, 12 months, in some cases even longer than that. And so you want to make sure that it's somebody that you want to be with for that long, that it's something that can, you guys can work together to get to the good common goal.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm going to put all your contact information in the comments section wherever this video is posted. And there'll also be a link to a little kind of top 10 tips to if you're wanting to build your own house or custom build. So all of that information will be in the comments wherever you're watching this video. Dustin, thank you so much for talking with me today. It was extremely informative. And now I think I'm going to start saving so I can custom build a house. Thank you
for having me. It was great speaking with you as well.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.